Hey guys, I'm Erik Peterson and I'm a men's dating and relationship coach for skillofattraction.com. And today's attraction tips video is called The Right Kind of Vulnerability. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard through the red pill communities and the manosphere how you cannot show vulnerability to women. By now, you should know that women have zero respect for weak men and they're absolutely ruthless about it. If you show too much weakness or weakness at the wrong time, you're out. The history you shared, her love for you, children you share, your marriage, anything is done. It's over. She's completely turned off, and by the time she gets to this place, there's really no turning it around for you. She's already formed an opinion of you, and it's her perception, not necessarily the reality. Now, she may not leave you, but she's checked out. Her heart is closed off and she no longer respects you. And without respect, there cannot be love and attraction. And in this case, love means being in love with you. Now, she may still love you as a person, like a brother, or because you're the father of her children, but she's no longer in love. And it doesn't matter if she's that sweet, loving, church-going girl from next door or the sexy bad girl who works at the strip club. It doesn't mean that she's toxic or that something is wrong with her. This is who women are. They have a dark, ruthless side about them that isn't going to change because you're sweet to her or because you don't like it. It's deeply ingrained into their internal wiring. Now, this is really difficult for men to understand and to accept, but you want to understand that she's not your mother or your therapist. She's your girl, and she looks up to you to be the leader in the relationship. You're the rock. You're the one who is there to protect and take care of her and her children, or your children. You know what I mean. Now, of course, you're going to have some moments of weakness here and there throughout your life, but you want to do your best to keep it to yourself when it comes to your girl. Or at the very least, save sharing your insecurities, your fears, tears, and whatnot for your buddies or a therapist, and not for your girl. And I will get into why this is important as we go along in this video. However, it's just as important that you do embrace and express some vulnerability on some level, or you won't be able to get the full experience of what a great relationship can be. I remember years ago with my first real girlfriend who I dated in college. At one point, I dropped the L-bomb on her and I told her that I loved her. And it didn't go as I hoped. I remember I was sitting on the couch and she was lying next to me, resting her head on my lap as I played with her hair. It was actually kind of a sweet, intimate moment, and I felt it was the perfect time to tell her that I loved her. And I truly did love her. She just shot up and looked at me completely stunned, and she didn't say a word. She just got up and walked into the other room. And that was really rough, and I felt so stupid. And at that point, I vowed to myself to never tell a girl that I loved her again, unless she said it first. And she never did tell me that she loved me. My point with this story is that from then on, I kept everything to myself. I showed absolutely no vulnerability with women. I never put myself out there. I never shared how I felt unless she did first. I never opened myself completely to a woman for a long time after that because I was afraid to get hurt again. But that caused me some level of suffering as well because for a long time I never got to experience a true loving relationship. And in order to get the full experience, you must risk getting hurt at times. Anything good in life is a risk, and it's no different when it comes to romantic relationships. You have to show some level of vulnerability to get the full experience. But you can't show too much either, or women will lose respect for you. So in this attraction tips video, I'm going to be discussing how and why some vulnerability is necessary and why you can't allow yourself to be too vulnerable either. Like everything when it comes to women, there's a balance. But if you guys need my personal help, and you're interested in some private coaching, please head over to my website at skillofattraction.com, click on the coaching tab, and there you'll see that I have several options for you to choose from. My coaching options include several phone coaching packages for my North American clients and several Zoom coaching packages for my clients outside North America. And yes, if you haven't watched my videos in a while, yes, I've discontinued the email coaching, but the new options have been proven to work much better for everyone. And I'll post the links to both my contact page and my coaching page in the description down below. Oh, and by the way, Skill of Attraction is now also on both Rumble and TikTok. So if you're on those social networks, just look up Skill of Attraction and you could follow me from there. I would really appreciate it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in many red pill and manosphere circles, you're taught that male vulnerability is a big no-no. And I do agree with that to some extent. Women have absolutely no respect for weakness in men, but you first have to understand exactly what weakness is to women. Now, in general, weakness is not having control of your emotions. It's not being able to stare adversity in the eye. It's putting others' happiness above your own because you're afraid to anger or disappoint them. It's putting off difficult activities or making excuses why you just can't do it. It's cowering in fear when life is not going your way. I'm sure I'm missing something here, but you get the point. Why is it that women just can't stomach weak men? It's because they look to you for leadership, to protect them, to ensure their survival, to be sure they're taken care of and can live a relatively comfortable life. That's part of why they're attracted to particular men. For most of the time humanity has graced this planet, men were 100% relied upon for this. Not only that, but they were also expected to be putting food on the table and providing for his family. In fact, money is relatively new for humanity. So for most women, it's not so much about money that they're attracted to, but your ability to produce and provide resources for survival. Now, of course, nowadays women can support themselves financially, or they have the state that protects them in a lot of these areas where men would typically play that role. However, women are still hardwired to seek all of this out in men. Evolution hasn't quite caught up with modern life yet, and it probably won't for quite a while. So in other words, none of this is going to change in our lifetime. So when you communicate through your actions and emotional reactions that you just might fall apart when life gets tough, or when you and your girl or family is faced with danger, she's not going to see you as a good fit for her. Attraction isn't some mystical force in the universe where magic brings us together. I mean, it certainly seems like that sometimes, but there's a reason for it, and it's basically so we come together and make strong, beautiful babies and make sure that those babies survive so they could grow up and also make strong, beautiful babies. If a woman believes that you're not going to be an integral part in that, whether that be through your good genes or providing for your family, she's not going to be interested no matter how good of a guy that you really are. So you must demonstrate your strength, your confidence, and your provider and protector abilities. One of those ways is by showing that difficult and emotional situations aren't going to cripple you. More than anything, you should be demonstrating this to yourself, of course, but the woman in your life is going to want to know this, and she will learn in one way or another through your actions, with the more time that you guys spend together, and of course, through shit tests. However, in order to fully pair bond, you're going to have to be a little vulnerable when it comes to women. But it might not be exactly what you think. This isn't about showing emotional sensitivity per se. It's not about going to her and leaning on her when life gets tough. Not about shedding tears when you're sad or upset. That sort of vulnerability will get you rejected. If not now, eventually. Now, someone commented on one of my community posts the other day about how he has PTSD after being in a war zone and how his wife is very supportive in that department. Now, that's a bit different than what we're talking about here. And if I remember correctly, he's going to therapy for that. So where that differs, besides the obvious, I mean, he came out of a war zone, is that he's also doing something about it. Now, you can open up a bit about your frustrations and fears in life, but women expect men to be doing something about it and not to always be leaning on her. Women despise having to be a mother to their men. If you're going through a difficult time, you could talk to her about it, but you must be actively working on solutions. I mean, as an example, you hate your job, start looking for a new one. You're depressed, get some help. Your dog just died, give yourself a short time to grieve and get on with your life. Don't go to her day in, day out, crying on her shoulder about it and asking her to console you. Masculine alpha men don't focus on their problems. They focus on solutions. And women understand this to a degree, and they expect it from you. Now, when it comes to embracing and showing the right kind of vulnerability in terms of women and relationships, this mostly lies in your ability to put your heart out there or letting your ball swing in the wind. As an example, when you're out and you see a beautiful woman you want to approach, you're going to have a little vulnerability in order to talk to her. I mean, you're going to have to risk getting hurt or rejected. But you see, that's also very attractive to women. The first time you go to kiss her, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position. The first time you get naked with her and have sex with her, you're quite vulnerable. I mean, she's vulnerable too, but since you're the leader and the masculine force, it's mostly on you. Even allowing yourself to love her deeper and the relationship to flourish takes some vulnerability. And, I mean, going back to the story I told you about my college girlfriend, I swore off sharing how I feel with women for years after that. And it wasn't just romantic feelings either. It was even when I was upset about something, and it was all because I was afraid of getting hurt. I mean, that all takes some vulnerability. And over the years, I've found that allowing myself to be more vulnerable in these areas has led to more loving, more intense relationships. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still a man about it, but it takes real strength to put yourself out there and risk getting rejected or your heart broken. And yes, of course, sometimes I get hurt, but the trade-off is worth it in the long run. Years ago, I came up with a little something that I tell myself anytime I find myself facing a vulnerable situation or when I'm nervous about making a decision or making a move. And it's worked quite well. I just say to myself, fuck it, let's see what happens. And then I more or less just close my eyes and jump. And this pushes me to step outside my comfort zone and take risks. I mean, they're calculated risks, but they're still risks. And I'm oftentimes shocked that it's worked in my favor. As an example, I was dating this girl, and it was clear that we were really into each other. We had been dating for a few months by this time, and one night she just point blank asked me in her sweet little voice, "Erik, are you in love with me?" And I was totally caught off guard with this. I mean, I was like a deer in headlights, like, huh? And we hadn't told each other this yet. And of course, I was trying to hold my cards close to my chest all this time, but I had to give her an answer. So I just said to myself, fuck it, let's see what happens. And I told her that I was in love with her. And she just got this big smile on her face. And she hugged me really tight and told me that she was in love with me too. And that very uncomfortable moment set us off into a new direction where it all got much more intense in a good way. You also have to keep in mind that women tend to reflect the energy that we put out. So the right kind of vulnerability at the right time can easily make her feel safe enough to let her guard down and really begin to open up to you too. I mean, it's not going to happen every time like that, but that's what makes it risky. So you have to take risks in life if you ever want to get anywhere. You have to push past your comfort zone. And taking those risks can leave you hurt. It could leave you feeling like you failed or feeling rejected. So when women say that they want you to be more vulnerable with them, what they really mean is that you confidently open your heart a bit with them, to share what's on your mind, to take the risk. They don't mean that they want you to start crying on their shoulder and start sharing all your insecurities and weaknesses. I mean, they may think that they want that, but they really don't. You want to save sharing your weaknesses and insecurities with your closest buddies or your therapist, not your girl. But also, when you feel things are going in a good direction with your girl, open yourself up a bit. Don't be afraid to express that you like the direction your relationship is heading or what you want in the relationship. Just don't be relationship focused, but that's a topic for another video. So, if you have found this video helpful or any of my videos helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up and for you to share it with any of your friends and family. I'd also really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button down below and tick that little bell symbol next to it so you get real-time notifications of when I upload new videos. And in the description down below, not only will I have a link to both my contact page and my coaching page, and I also have a link to some recommended reading of some great books that will really help you further understand how attraction works and understanding the masculine-feminine dynamics in relationships. And I've recently updated this list of recommended books. But I also have a link to PayPal or my Bitcoin wallet address if you deem this video worthy of a donation. So that's it for this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.